I know on this channel I've only looked at 2 game series, one being about a game that I feel doesn't get much love, that being No More Heroes 3, which, by the way, is now on other platforms, so if you haven't gone and checked it out yet, go ahead, it's great. The other one being Guilty Gear, a series finally starting to get the love it deserves in my eye. Though today, I'm going to be talking about 2 video games, although one of the games I'm talking about today, unlike my first 2 videos, everyone's heard of, and that, of course, is Tetris. That's right, we're talking about Tetris today. The best-selling video game of all time before Minecraft took its spot, although I don't think Tetris really counted as the best-selling video game because of the 5 million versions of it out there. But you're probably like, okay, Lucas, what are you going to tell me about Tetris I don't already know? And to that I say, valid point. You already know what Tetris is most likely if you're watching this video. You make the block go down and you make it fit into shapes. It's really easy, simple stuff. Although, I said I didn't consider Tetris the best-selling game of all time because there's so many versions of it out there. But it's one of those versions we'll be talking about today and what I'm really excited to share with you all. And that version of Tetris being called Tetris Effect, released back in 2018, originally for the PS4, but later getting ported to Xbox, PC, and Switch. It's honestly unlike any other version of Tetris out there, and for good reason, as Tetsuya Mizuguchi had been a producer on it, who was also the designer and producer of Rez and Rez Infinite, which is the second game we'll be talking about today in this video. But before we look at that, let's take a look at Tetris Effect. Now, I know it's weird for a guy who's been talking about Japanese video games to be talking about Tetris, but, and I hate to say this, Tetris Effect is genuinely an audio and visual experience like I've never had before. Taking heavy cues gameplay-wise from, well, Tetris, what do you think we're talking about here, and aesthetically from Rez Infinite. Now, what you're seeing may look like Tetris just with pretty backgrounds, and you're not wrong, although it's hard to explain the joy and just experience you get with this game without you playing it yourself firsthand. Each beat of the song pulses through the controller, and each block you place either down or rotate is always in time with the beat of the music. It's something best experienced firsthand, which is why I highly recommend everyone to go play it if you can. Nowhere is that experience better shown in my opinion than in its journey mode titled Downtown Jazz, where the level starts off quiet and calm as you enter it, but as you progress further into the city and the music begins to expand all around you. As you proceed to place more blocks down and rotate them, you're helping create the beat of the music. It's honestly my favorite level within the game, and it's the level I show people when talking about how amazing this game looks and feels and sounds when playing. I do have one issue with the game though. Throughout journey mode, there will be points where the speed randomly increases drastically. As you can see from the gameplay, I'm not the best at Tetris. However, I feel that this random speed increase takes me out of the relaxed zen state I feel when playing the game. Now, I know this is something only in journey mode, but it is something that took me out of the experience when playing the game. Now, the name of the game, Tetris Effect, coming from the real-life phenomenon actually known as the Tetris Effect, where when an individual puts so much time and attention into a specific act, their brain pattern begins to replicate that action they've been doing. The reason I bring this up is because even though it wasn't originally in the title back in its 2018 release, with its recent release a few years ago, it adapted the name Connected into the title. Now, obviously this can be a play on connecting blocks together and it's online play, but what I really feel it's about is how we as individuals are all connected in the world that we live in, whether we notice it or not. The game surprisingly can be oddly beautiful in that way, through its lyrics or through its imagery. Now, it's weird saying that as I am talking about Tetris, the game where you move blocks around. But it's true, visually the game is stunning, but so is the message it presents to the player. It's a weird thing to talk about, and I might be diving too deep into the message of this game, but when Tetsuya Mizuguchi is the one who designed it, it's not hard to believe. I mean, the guy made Rez and Rez Infinite, which without that game, we wouldn't have Tetris Effect. And while I said Tetris Effect is something to experience firsthand, I personally feel like Rez is that, but on a whole nother level. Rez is one of the most creative and unique games I have ever played in my life. Rez was originally released back in 2001 on the Sega Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 and included the unique accessory known as the trance vibrator. Yes, that is in fact its name, and yes, there have been many jokes about it being named that. I don't know why they did it, but they did. Anyways, remember how I said earlier that Tetris Effect was an audiovisual experience like no other? Well, apply that to Rez, but multiply it by 10. You play as a hacker entering the K Project system to reboot its AI named Eden, as the AI has become overfilled with knowledge and begins to doubt their own existence. Now, how you get any of that through this gameplay, I've got no clue, but that's what video game manuals were for. The gameplay is an on-rails shooter/rhythm game. Every shot you take is aligned with the beat of the music. If this sounds like I'm talking about Tetris again, it's because this was the inspiration for Tetris Effect. You see this more so in Area X and Rez Infinite. Looking at the two side by side, they look like they could take place in the same game. Now, when I was talking about the human connections earlier, that's still relevant in Rez. As you enter this program, you're traveling around through the world, visiting different parts of the system that represent different eras of time and different locations of Earth. All of this done through its unique visual style, inspired by that wire style from Tron and its phenomenal techno soundtrack. Fun fact, the name of the game Rez actually comes from the same name of the song Rez by the hit underground techno band Underworld. Though I am super excited and happy that I am able to play this game, Area X, which looks like Tetris Effect, is only 20 minutes long, and that's probably my biggest gripe with it. I wish that game was longer, but I'm also happy that I was able to play it, and just like Tetris Effect, Rez and Rez Area X are two games I will never forget, and I am so glad I was able to experience them once. Though there haven't been any signs of a Rez 2 being made, Area X will have to do in Rez Infinite. But who knows, maybe one day Rez will get the spotlight it actually deserves, and a sequel will happen. But for now, Tetris Effect and Rez Infinite are great games on their own, and I really do highly recommend anyone to go check them out. I want to thank all of you for watching today's video and hear me talk about Tetris and this weird rhythm shooter game from the early 2000s. I appreciate y'all sticking around and watching. Thank you,